Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another cup of self-empowerment to trust, heal, and be thyself. I've got a familiar face joining us today in the Cuppa Hub today as we go on a journey with Natasha Joy Price. And this time we're going on a journey with water, with the element of water. And for those of you who have not yet met Natasha, who haven't seen our last recent Cuppas where we went on other mystical journeys together, and also we had Natasha on the Cuppa, I think it was last year when we basically got to know each other. And since then, we've been going on a journey and we're going through, really great stuff. So I do encourage you to look back. And I think our last journey was with the crystals and before was with the earth energy. So there's lots of like wonderful stuff coming your way. But to get back to today and who Natasha is an energy therapist, a spiritual teacher and coach, as well as an author. She has spent the last 21 years developing and exploring and learning all about energy, where it comes from and how it can help us. Her first book, Freedom of the Soul, is a proactive workbook helping the reader to find their spiritual path through energy management. For the last 2.5 years, Natasha has presented Balm to the Soul podcast, which has now over 70 episodes, and she presents teaching days and also has a slot on Felixstowe Radio in the UK. Natasha's vision is to promote and teach the principles of energy management by reference to energy healing modalities and the use of energy in our daily lives in order to assist people to live in a more balanced and central state of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual basis. Thanks to her experience in learning about energy management, Reiki, crystals, hypnotherapy, past life regression, future life progression, life between lives, and the soul continuum, as well as a BSc Earth Science degree and Masters in Parapsychology. I can never say this one.
Parapsychology.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Natasha has been able to collate an abundance of information and ideas on how to start looking at health of your energy field, and how to create your own daily routine. And Natasha's offerings can all be found on her website, which is www.dandeliontherapies.co.uk. And she can be found at Instagram at Natasha Price Author. And her second book is going to be released shortly. So welcome back, Natasha. It's lovely to have you here.
Ellie, thank you very much for that introduction. Before we start, I have to say my dogs are in the room with me, and as you started talking, they decided to chew on their bone. So apologise to the viewers if you can hear a gnawing in the background.
That's absolutely fine. They're just coming in to hear us talk about water.
Yeah.
So, I'm really curious because water is very prominent and it's coming up in a lot of conversations at the moment.
It is, yeah. It's coming up.
That's why I'm really interested and I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today, because one of the questions which, has come up is, how do we as individuals, reflect the earth? With the reflect, I mean, because obviously water is a reflection back to us as well. So
Yeah, definitely.
how do we as individuals, with water and with the earth itself, maybe you could give us some information on that.
Yeah, well, like I started really with the other two sessions we did on earth elements, we are so linked to this earth. And in order for us to function properly, we have to be grounded and, really attached to the earth.
Yes.
Water is, like you say, we reflect it. We're almost like a holographic image of water. Of the earth in terms of water. So the earth has a 70% volume wise of water, and so are we.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so we reflect that. Water is life to us as well. We cannot function without water. And when you start looking at us in a cellular way, we are over 90% water, which I just find extraordinary.
Yeah.
Most people know water states as ice or rain water and water vapor, but there are other states of water that contain the same hydrogen, oxygen atoms, but they're not as they're not as common to us, but the scientists are aware of them. And one of them is structured water. And structured water is viscous, like honey almost, and
Oh,
it has a charge. And that is the water that is in our cells, our brain sits in it, our DNA sits in it. So when we start talking about water, what you have to keep in mind is that we're talking about what's in us.
wow.
So when we start talking about the amazing properties that water has, because it's a real anomaly, water, scientists don't understand it, but that is what's in us.
Mm,
So you then have to think, wow, okay, and that's how we reflect back all this information, really.
wow. That's really, yeah, I know that we're like made up of lots of it, of lots of water. I'm very aware of that. But then, you know, it's really interesting to see the comparison to like the percentage with the earth as well.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
much a reflection, as you say.
yeah.
So what would you say, obviously you've researched this a lot yourself. What are the unusual properties of water, which we may not be aware of?
Well, water it's really quite a weird element. It's got 66 properties that differ from other liquids. I know.
Okay.
And so usually when you look at elements in the periodic table, they all follow a similar sort of projection or slant or whatever. Water
Mm.
is completely different. And like I say, got these 66 different properties. Obviously, I won't go through all of them, but are like, for instance, something that we all know, when it freezes, it becomes lighter. It doesn't become denser. So ice will float to the top of a lake or a pond. And that's because it will then protect the ecosystem below. If everything froze and it went heavy,
Yeah,
everything would die.
true. Yeah.
That's unusual. Water molecules have got like the tensile strength of steel as well, which is just extraordinary. And the scientists put water through lots of tests, etc. So
Okay.
this is where this information is coming from. And when you look at it in a molecular way, it's very, very similar to crystals. So, which is why it's called the living liquid crystal, which I love because I
Oh,
love
that's
crystals.
lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's also known to communicate with other water, which is something called quantum coherence, which is just
Hmm.
extraordinary, really. So, if you have a glass of spring water, which the structure of, if you have a look at it when you freeze it in ice, is beautiful and pretty patterns,
Oh.
next to a glass of tap water, which when you freeze it and look at the ice is very disjointed and just lines and
Mm.
striations. The spring water that will upgrade the tap water, which is extraordinary when you think about it. And then if you turn that round back again on ourselves, so if we are drinking poor quality tap water,
Mm.
it's not doing us the best that it can do us.
Hmm.
But if we start drinking spring water, that will upgrade the water in us. But if
Okay.
you also think about that, um, for like if a community has poor quality water,
Mm.
and there is a way to upgrade the water by using spring water,
Okay.
natural water, water that's coming up from the earth. So yeah, it's just fascinating when you start to talk about water. Really fascinating. The other thing that people do with it is that it has a predictive nature. So scientists use water to predict if there's going to be solar flares.
Oh, because we've got a lot
Yeah,
of
which
things going on at
I
the
find
moment, haven't we?
fascinating. Yeah, they
Mm.
also use it to predict whether there are going to be earthquakes. Now, how they do that, whether there is small movement or something, but solar flares, I'm assuming there isn't. They're not looking at movement.
Yeah. How does
So,
it work? Yeah.
yeah, so aspects like that is just extraordinary. And when I started looking at water, I'll just read this because this is what I found out, and this is what is so fascinating.
Hmm.
So water's affected structurally by our thoughts and intentions, whether they're positive or negative,
Yeah,
so we
that's
can
true.
influence them.
That's true.
It has a memory,
Hmm.
and that it stores information, it's predictive, it's positively affected by sound, it can communicate with us via pictures in the ice and with other bodies of water, and it possibly has a consciousness. Now,
Ooh,
when you start thinking about that,
yeah.
it's not an inanimate object anymore. It is this element that is on our planet that possibly, that we can communicate with and possibly has a consciousness. That's just extraordinary. And it's not how
It's
people normally think about
no.
water.
Yeah.
We go and turn the tap on and it's just water. But when you start thinking about it like
Yeah.
that,
I mean, from an energy perspective, like blessing water, there's many people that will bless their water before they drink it. So I can understand that, that's also working with with the consciousness basically of the
yes.
water. You're
And with
sort
the
of like,
words, putting
yes,
your water on positive
yeah,
words,
cleansing it,
using
yeah.
crystals, all of that,
Mm.
that positively affects your water. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. So why is this relevant to us individually?
Because of because it's us, it is us. It
Okay,
is an
yeah,
element
okay,
of
because it's
us.
that reflection of us,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Ah,
5 minutes after we've drunk water, it's a part of our blood. You know,
wow.
yeah. So it's this water, this element that we don't understand and is a complete anomaly to the scientists and it doesn't fall in line with all the other elements that they study and look
Hmm.
at in the periodic table. This element is in us. It is part and parcel of us.
It's very true.
And
It's a huge
yeah,
parcel of us, actually. It's real. Yeah.
yeah, over 90%. That is extraordinary, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Really? I mean, when we look at humans, we don't think, oh, you're over 90% water.
And then sometimes I do feel like a puddle of water. So I must admit, sometimes when the emotions kick in, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just water.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
actually, it's funny you should say that because tears, they think that tears can hold a unique memory of an individual being, of who you are. So it can be full of information about what you've experienced, who you are,
Wow.
what you've been through. That's
Oh my gosh.
extraordinary, isn't it?
That's incredible. So basically, if they were to catch that tear and to analyze that tear would
Yeah.
maybe communicate why that person's been crying.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you do all of this research, you start to link things because, the Egyptians believed that humans were made from tears,
Did
that they
they?
were made from the tears of the gods. Now, where they got that from? Because,
Mm,
that's there's a link there. It's
yeah.
like I talk about old wives' tales,
Yeah.
and there's a truth to it somewhere. And there's something about they knew more than we did.
Oh, that they did, have definitely, most
Yeah.
definitely. Hmm.
And when we say old wives' tales, we say, I felt it in my waters,
Yeah,
don't we?
true.
Yeah, we say that. So
We
at some
do.
point we
Hmm.
knew. I'm sorry, my dog is wanting to come up, meet
All right,
Penny.
we'll say hello to the dog. That's cute.
um,
Oh.
she's gone again. She's hiding. Um, yeah, we say that we feel it in our waters. So there's something there's more not the other ancients had more knowledge than we did, and we've taken
Mm.
that, but we've lost the meaning to it.
Yeah, we spoke about that when we spoke about the Celts, so, with what the knowledge that they had as well. We spoke about in the last one we spoke.
Yes,
So
yeah, there was an
definitely.
understanding somehow.
Mm. And what you're saying
Yeah,
about like the Egyptians with like, we're made up of tears. I mean,
I
the
love
tears of
that.
the gods. It's very beautifully put, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But with modern science now, they can start to sort of see that that is actually there's truth to that. We can
Well,
work
we're
it out.
90%, so
Yeah, I
it
know.
is fascinating.
Extraordinary, I
It's
think.
very extraordinary. So what theories have been put forward about water?
Well, because people can't understand water and it doesn't follow with other elements. There have been a few theories that have been put forward, and one that I found was really interesting was put forward by a gentleman called Anders Nielsen,
Mm.
And he put forward the theory that, in fact, water was not just one element, there were two elements mixed in.
Okay,
And
which would
that's
be?
why we were getting the anomaly. And he didn't say what the other what the other element was. He
Okay.
just felt like it, because there was this weird thing going on. Perhaps we
Mm.
were looking at two different elements.
Mm.
Um, but again, looking at, picking up things and making correlations, um, I wondered whether what he was thinking about was that spirit is within water.
Oh,
And so we are looking at spirit is that information part that we start to communicate. Because
okay.
in the religion of animism, their belief about water is that it connects others and it creates relationships.
Okay.
So then you start to think, okay, maybe that's how spirit connects to the earth. Maybe that's how, we talk about in religion this all knowing energy around us that permeates everything that is within us and
Mm.
externally as well, that
Yeah,
surrounds us. And when you start thinking about water, you think, well, yeah, actually, that all
that would
fits.
make sense. That could kind of
Yeah.
connect to that completely. Wow.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that's absolutely true. Nobody knows
No,
at
it's
this
a
moment
theory.
in
It's a
time, but it's
theory.
a theory.
It's an
Yeah,
interesting perspective to take into account.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. I mean, there's even a theory out there that water is God, or God is water.
Okay.
So you've got the triology that we talked about, and
Yeah.
we've got this all-knowing presence that's within us, that's
Mm-hmm.
all around us. And so there's that other theory as well. There's lots of theories out there. It's
But we need
fascinating.
water to live as well, don't we? We can go a certain amount of time without food, but with water it's even harder.
Yeah, yeah. But the more we learn about water, I think, the more it's a positive for our planet as well. Because if we can think about, well, we can upgrade our water, and
Mm,
and in the same way, we can upgrade the water in us, and
true.
then that's going to affect our families.
Yeah, because it's
The
going to have
people
the
that
ripple
we,
effect, ripple water. It's just going to have
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the water goes around, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we can really use this information, whether we fully understand it, that we can use this information to really, positively in our lives, basically.
Mm. So how can we start? If you're like, going on to that question, how can we start? How can we start, using this knowledge about water?
Well, I think one, you can check out your tap water and see how damaged it is. So
Yeah.
there's a lovely lady called Veda Austin. She's got
Okay.
an Instagram post. She's very much about water. She gives talks and she does workshops. And she has developed a process where you talk to water or put thoughts into water, freeze it, and then look at the pictures in the ice,
Oh,
and it's quite extraordinary. I've done it. I put a crystal pyramid in a petri dish of ice for 5 seconds, froze it, and I had a perfect pyramid shown in the water. So there is a reflection back in what you're doing.
okay.
Um, so you can have a look at that, and you can freeze your tap water and see. And she talks about what's good water, the
Okay. I'm curious
pattern.
now.
Yeah.
We're
So
all going
you
to
can
go
go
and freeze
away
our
and have
water
a
and probably we'll have a shock, can't we?
Yeah, well, some. Um, and then you can perhaps introduce some spring water into your life,
Yeah.
into your diet, if you like. You don't have to have it every day, but
Mm,
you could buy spring water and freeze it, have a look at it, see
yeah.
what you're drinking is actually,
Yeah.
an upgrade, and you can start upgrading your body with that. You can also start using structured water. So if you remember, structured water was with a charge.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy wands, what they call water wands, that create that charge.
Mm-hmm.
And you can create structured water, which
Mm-hmm.
when you drink goes straight to your cells.
Okay.
And there's another lovely lady called Isabel Friend, and she has a fabulous website. There's some free videos on there that you can go and listen about water,
Okay.
loads of information that we've touched on, but there's a
Ah,
lot to listen to. She
Yeah.
sells the wands, she sells other products.
Yeah.
I'm not endorsing any of them. I don't get a kickback, but I'm
Okay.
just saying if people are interested, it's a really good sort of information. So you could get structured water into your life. You can start, like we talked about earlier, using crystals to
Yeah, I
upgrade
was
your
going to say, put
water.
the crystals in there. It's quite common these days that you put
Yeah,
crystals in your water,
yeah.
to
Using
actually embody
words.
those properties, what the crystal holds.
Yeah,
You'd put that in your
definitely.
drinking water and yeah, to bring
Yeah,
that into your body.
yeah. But even more, I think the crystals upgrade the water as well.
Yeah, of
So
course. Yeah.
yeah. So, but the words as well, positive words, that
Mm.
upgrades your water
Well,
as
you
well.
can bless your water with Reiki, for example, can't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. And looking back to the work that Matsuru Emoto did, when you do all of that, and if you then froze that water, you could see beautiful structures,
Ooh,
beautiful structures. So the positive words, sentiments, thoughts, because thoughts are just energy. So you can do it with thoughts as well. They cause the water, when you freeze the water, the crystals are just beautiful, like snowdrops, delicate, intricate. If you're horrible to water, then they won't form proper crystals.
okay.
So it's like, if you do anything negative towards water, it just won't form. It's mushy and or it actually forms pictures that are not particularly pleasant.
Okay. So, for
Yeah.
example, if you were to say someone was to freeze their tap water and then get it out of the freezer and look at it, how would they know what whether the water quality was good or bad? Would it be like from the color? Would it be from the structure? How would it be?
Well, if you go and look at Veda's work,
Hmm.
um, what she is talking about is that you see almost like leaf structures, patterns,
Okay.
beautiful form
Okay.
hexagon patterns.
Hmm.
You can go and have a look at pictures on her website. They're beautiful, like sort of flowing, natural
Okay.
patterns
Hmm.
with very worked on water, if you like.
Hmm.
It just is a series of there's nothing. It's just lines and
Okay.
when you freeze it, when you do
Okay.
the ice. In Veda's work, what she's done, and this is quite extraordinary, is she's formed, I think she's devised about 50 what she calls hydroglyphics.
Hmm.
So she has said a word to water or a thought, and water has given her back the same image at least 50 times for her to then include it as a hydroglyph. So
Wow.
she's really done her work
Hmm.
on that, but with words that are quite not obvious pictures. Like you could say flower,
Hmm.
that's an obvious picture that you're going to get back. But
Yeah.
she uses words like conception. Now, that's
Okay.
not an obvious picture, but
No.
she's got the same image 50 times when she's done that, 50
Wow.
times plus from water. So
Hmm.
there's definitely an understanding of what she's saying, thinking. There's
And the communication which is taking place
yeah,
between the
and
voice.
I'm assuming that it's energetic. The
Yeah.
water picking up the energy of her thoughts, her words, and displaying it back with a level of consciousness,
Hmm.
the level of this is we understand what you're saying, we understand what you're doing
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Wow.
can go and you can try it yourself. She
Hmm.
teaches the breathing method. I just find it fascinating. And then you
It
start
is.
to think, okay, I'm communicating with water here. We're having a conversation. That just puts a whole different slant on, everything then, doesn't it?
It does indeed. It does indeed. I mean, some of us are actually guided intuitively to work with water.
Mm.
And, you know, someone today might be watching this and it's like, well, I always go to the ocean or I go to the sea and, I pour my heart out into that sea because you're just to either cleanse it or to, to let it go or something like that. So
Yeah,
indirectly, you're already working with water. You're already
yeah.
being guided intuitively to work with water.
And
Yeah.
also, if you can do that and have a conversation with water externally,
Mm.
You can have a conversation with the water internally. Okay, you can't freeze it and feel
No, I
and
wouldn't
see what's
recommend that. We'll
happening.
go and freeze ourselves now. That
But
wouldn't be
there
too
must
wise.
be. But when we talk to ourselves and get information back, or we suddenly get an idea in our head, and
Mm,
is that our water talking to us?
yeah.
Is that coming from our water, not our what we call our subconscious,
Hmm.
or is our subconscious water? I don't know. You could delve. You can ask as many questions as you
I could
like
go down a real
about
rabbit hole there. Then you'd go into,
that.
is
Yeah,
is my higher self my water or something like that. You could really go on
yeah,
a
but
on a conversation
fascinating.
there. But
Yeah. But you can definitely start to upgrade your water. I have the odd bottle of spring water. I bless my water before I
yeah.
have it. You know, just simple tasks like that.
And it could even be your tea water. It doesn't have to be like just a normal glass
Oh
of water.
yeah,
It could be anything which has got water in it. So if you made
yeah,
yourself a cuppa, you can literally bless that as well, or converse with
yeah,
the cuppa and set the intentions in there, or you know.
yeah, definitely. But they say that over 75% of the population is dehydrated.
Hmm.
And what they're now saying, it's not the quantity that we need to take, it's the quality.
Okay, that would make
If
sense.
you take high quality glass of water every now and again, you
Mm.
are going to be more hydrated than if you take 8 glasses of bad, not bad water. Water isn't bad, but you know what I mean, less high grade water.
Yeah,
And the structured water as well really hydrates because it gets straight to your cells.
true.
So yeah. So it's the quality of water that we're taking on that we have to be
Okay.
conscious of.
Wow. Well, there's lots
Yeah.
of really interesting points to take with us today, I feel, and to like ponder on and consider, and also some little, yeah, activities if we choose to play with
Yeah.
water as well. Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers today, Natasha, regarding this?
No, not really, but except that, I think we need to change the way that we are thinking about water. I
Hmm.
know that, Matsuro Emoto, when he was alive, they changed a lake in Japan. It was struggling. It was full of algae. It was not, it's quite stagnant. And they chanted around it. 300 people chanted around it, and it improved the quality of the water.
Wow.
And I just think that's so beautiful. And it just means that we can improve if we all change our way of thinking. If we start looking at water in a different way,
Hmm.
we can, there's a real sort of possibility to upgrade our water in ourselves, in our communities, on our earth. We
Yeah.
have a way to do that.
Yeah.
And I think and there's so many people out there talking about water, and I think that's what the message is about. There's more to this than meets the eye, and we need to,
Definitely.
start thinking about it in a different way.
Mm. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge
Oh,
with us
well,
today. It's been
pleasure to
really
come on
lovely.
again.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's great. And yeah, if this resonates with anyone who's watching today and feels like they want to maybe gather a little bit more information, obviously you can take the tips that Natasha has shared with you, to connect with these other people online. But equally reach out to Natasha. I'm sure she'd be more than welcome to help you and give you advice or guidance and so for how you can work personally with water yourself. So yeah, so wherever you are today, if it's the morning, afternoon, or the evening, I wish you a peaceful time and a beautiful day ahead or a beautiful night's sleep, whatever you are doing. And I look forward to catching up with you all soon for another cup of self-empowerment. And thank you once again, Natasha, for joining us once again.
Thank you. No, it's been a pleasure.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.